Hello there, my name's Tommy D, and I run a radio station out here in Pattaya, Thailand. I've never done a podcast before, but it's been suggested that I did, and thought about it, and I thought, no. Who on earth wants to be a vlogger? One of these people that wanders around with a camera picking up on what's going on and all the dirt and stuff like that. But right now I'm finding I've got... You see, this is what happens. When you try and make one of these things and you think it's going to be easy, all of a sudden you find it ain't that easy. I'm sitting here talking to you. It feels quite weird because I can't see you. But I'm used to that because we work on radio every day. The idea of behind the mic is maybe to share what happens behind the mic on a radio station, and also to look at how we as a radio station started, what we do, and where we are today, which is in the And if you are looking for a PC correct presentation, you'll probably want to go elsewhere, because this is mine. This is not a PC correct thing. This is not going out on air. It's not regulated as a lot of things are. And I prefer to call a spade, which sometimes gets you into trouble. But anyway, we'll have a look. Why didn't I shave today? Oh, what a great question. Mainly because I start work at 4:30 in the morning at the moment, as we work to put together news presentations to keep everybody informed with what's actually happening in our own city and our region. To give you an update, the actual root cause of COVID, or the main source of COVID in Thailand, is a fish market. Actually, it's a seafood processing area, which is on the other side of Bangkok. There they employed hundreds of thousands of Burmese, and it turns out there's an awful lot of illegal workers there. They weren't registered and they hadn't gone through quarantine. Now, everybody who comes to Thailand has to go through quarantine for 2 weeks. It doesn't matter if you come here for a holiday. If you came here to visit for work, you'll do 2 weeks quarantine. But these people were simply walking across the border, and a group, certainly, of greedy employers found that they could employ these people and save themselves maybe 100 baht, £2.50 a day on labour costs. End result, they brought the COVID with them, and we went from 0 to where we are now, which is hundreds a day. Because of the market size and the fact that it serves much of the country, delivery people and purchasers and wholesalers all bought from down there, and then they managed to spread the COVID around the country. And that includes our area. So that's why I'm not shaved. That was a bit of a long story, wasn't it? You'll find out these things get long. Let's have a look at the radio station. I'll tell you a little bit about it. The whole idea of behind the mic is to give you that insight into running a radio station and where we are and what we do and how we were doing quite well and we're not anymore. Fabulous 103 FM I started it, I think it was about 10 years ago. It was just after I got ripped off by 2 partners. And they won't like me saying that, but it's absolutely true. And all of a sudden I was left on my own. Oh, poor little me. Never mind. I'm a weeble. I wobble, but I don't fall down. And I decided that what I would do was build a radio station, which actually, in its infancy, wasn't that difficult. It needed 4 computers, and I bought 4 second-hand computers, had a mixer desk, had a half-decent microphone, and a pair of headphones, and a load of CDs with music. So that's how it started. It was crackly, it had lots of hums, but it worked. The next step was that we rented a studio. Now, when I say a studio, that's probably a little bit of an exaggeration. It was a building with an antenna, with echoes, with no processing, with no decks, no desks. What else can I say? The output was terrible. The signal didn't reach very far. But it was a start. And that's how 103 started. And it started off as fabulous... No, it didn't. It started off as Pattaya 103. And after I'd been running for about a week, I went out to a party. And I met a friend of mine, Eva. And every word I said was fabulous. I don't know why, it just seemed to be coming out. And she kept on saying fabulous and blah, blah, blah. And then she said, why don't you call it Fabulous 103? And I thought, what a great idea. So thanks to her, we're called Fabulous 103, and we'll never change. Fabulous 103 FM, coming to you live and kicking from the city of Pattaya. I think we ran for about 3 years from there. And then we had a coup. The military took over from the government. It was an absolutely flawless coup. Do that rewind again. It was an absolutely flawless coup. You try and say that. Flawless coup. Nobody was hurt. Nobody was injured. The army simply came in. Everything was closed down. We had a curfew. And for a couple of weeks, that's the way it worked. The catch was that there were an awful lot of pirate radio stations and TV stations who were broadcasting all sorts of things. And the government decided that they would blanketly close down all TV and radio stations, and each had to register and license. The catch was that the licensing authority, nice as they are and very helpful as they are, actually wasn't quite too sure what they needed, and that changed regularly. End result, it took us a year before we were allowed to go back on air. So all local radios were closed down. Government radio continued, but local radios closed down. We were very fortunate because we were issued with a legal license, and we started again a year later. Now, in between, looking back, well, we were pretty crap. Well, we were all right. There were 3 or 4 of us, and we were sitting there doing shows and playing music, but it wasn't the best. The output certainly wasn't the best. The sound quality wasn't the best. The sound that you're hearing today is thanks to magnificent processors. But at the time when the radios were all closed down, well, I ended up with no cash. That's what radio does. The budgets for radio is a bit of a joke, really. Everybody thinks, oh, superstars, yeah, get taken to work in a limousine. They've got people working around them. All they have to do is talk for 20 minutes a day and they get paid so much money. Well, I wish it was like that. The money in radio is crap. It really is crap. We live with it because we love radio. But if you were doing it for the money, you'd be looking for a job somewhere else. Certainly not here. Because of that, we had no money in the bank, which meant that to keep the radio going, I had 2 choices. I could close the radio, we could come back the same as we were, or we could come back as a completely different and professional setup. And I like 100%ers. I'm not into the hasibs, as the Thais call it, 50-50ers. Anyway, we had no money. Luckily, I had a house, second to my house, which I managed to sell. And so I sold what was supposed to be part of my pension to keep the radio going. And we took that money, and at the same time, this building where we are today became available. The equipment became available to buy, and I bought it. The radio didn't buy it, I bought it, but that was the way it worked. It wasn't quite like it is today, but it was still very, very good. We came in here, I and some friends, we replaced all the computers, we looked at the processes and learnt how to use them, and all of a sudden we had what's called a digital studio, which means that everything that is output is really, really, really well managed, and it stays digital until it gets to the antenna on the roof up there. That's pretty much the story. We learned to use that equipment through the time that we were closed down. I actually studied online to understand transmission and processing and stuff like that. We built a system. We signed up loads and loads of really, really good presenters, proper professional presenters, and we had a product. We started when we went back on air. We came back completely differently to the way that we went off. We came back with a real radio product. And I was very proud of that, and everybody around me was proud of that. And obviously pride comes before a fall, but we were really happy that we were doing something that nobody else was doing. Then everything was good. It really took off. Oh, absolutely amazed. Over the past 6 years, we've been really fortunate. We've become the city's #1 radio station. Every car is tuned to Fabulous 103. Lots of people listen to us on the internet, and our news, which we produce daily, is very, very popular too, both on YouTube and on Facebook. And that's basically what our product became. Later on, Peter Quinn joined us. We've had others come and go, and we've got a brand new presenter, Andy Freeman, who's joined us just as we hit this point where everything gets closed down again. The thing with the radio is that you actually don't make any money from your listeners. The listener is the most important thing in the world. You are the most important thing in the world to me. You really are. Because without listeners, we don't have an audience. And without an audience, nobody would want to advertise. The catch is that our money comes from advertising. That's our only source of revenue. And right now, we lost, I would say, 90% of our advertisers. Now, our advertisers are really cool. Some of them are big companies, some of them are small. They've been extremely supportive. And it's only because they can't trade that they can't advertise. And you have to understand that. We have to understand that. We went through that when COVID first came in to the world, and Thailand locked itself down and the city locked itself down. And we're going to go through it all over again. The difference is that when we went in last time, we had loads of, well, I didn't have loads of money, to be honest. We never had loads of money, but we had enough money, really, to get us through. And we had enough customers to get us through. This time, I don't think we do. We're just going to find out as we go along. So we're going to wing it. That's the history, really. That's the story of Fabulous 103. You're hearing it from behind the mic. I'm going to do this no holds barred. I think that's how you say it anyway. I'll show you around the studios at different times. We'll find out how radio works, and you'll see that there's more work done behind the mic than there is in front of it. Thank you for joining me today. I've enjoyed being with you. I hope you'll come back and chat with me and listen to me at any rate. And maybe chat. Yeah, because you can. You can reply to these things, can't you? God, I'm so clever about this sort of stuff. I need to get the midget in. You don't know about the midget. Well, the midget is Megan. Megan is the midget. Megan is my co-host on the morning show. She's about, I don't know, she's about that high. About that high, yeah. And she and I work very, very hard, and we're working extremely hard with just 2 other people to keep Fabulous 103 here in the city going. And we have the great support of our radio presenters who remotely do their shows now, thanks to an amazing system that we have here, which we installed about 6 months ago, which has the best method for anybody to do a show from home, or from wherever they are in the world, basically, because it has the ability for them to sign in. When they sign in with a little secret password, which is 123 ABC, once they type in with that password, they can come into our network and they will see exactly the same as I see on these screens behind me, which is really clever. That is so clever. I mean, it's way beyond me. That means that they can do their shows live without having to come into the studio and take any risks. I think we're going to stop it here. Maybe this is of interest to you, maybe it isn't. I'll give you 2 promises. One is next time I'll shave. That's just the way it works. And 2 is, I think you'll find a lot of things about radio and running a radio station that you didn't know before. And if it's of interest to you in any way, come back and join me. I think you have to do some kind of like or follow or something to say that you want to know when I put up another one of these videos. So do that and come back and join me. Thank you for being with me. Have a great day.